So you've decided you want to build your own cabinets. That's awesome. But before you do, check out this video because I have 5 things you have to know before you do. All right, so number 1 is going to be budget. Now, this is important because this is going to affect every other decision moving forward. If you haven't really thought about it and you're like, well, I don't really know what that looks like because you just don't know what things cost, that's fair. A lot of people don't. But we all have a number that we know we don't want to spend. So your budget's probably going to be less than that. And if you don't really care how much it costs, then this video is probably not for you anyways. You're going to want to check out my next video. It's going to be 5 things to know before you hire a contractor. Number 2, material selection. Now, there's 2 things to consider when you're trying to decide what type of material do you want to use. One being, are you painting these cabinets or are you staining these cabinets? Because some paint really well and some stain really well. Number 2, and in my opinion, one of the more important parts is, are these cabinets going to be around moisture? Well, you probably don't want to use MDF. If these cabinets are going to take a lot of abuse, you probably don't want to use particle board either. My go-to in most of my cabinet builds are a plywood with a veneer core. They're strong, they're lightweight, and not susceptible to moisture. Number 3, box assembly types. Now, there's a lot of different information out there about building cabinet boxes. So if you talk to somebody and they go, there's only one way to build cabinet boxes, well, they're either misinformed or they're lying to you because, as the old saying goes, there's more than one way to skin a cat. That being said, don't go skinning cats. I don't want a phone call from PETA because somebody was like, oh, we saw a video of some cabinet guy talking about skinning cats. Anyways, so when it comes down to building your cabinet boxes, sometimes it's going to be, what kind of tools do you have? Because if you don't have certain tools, you're not going to be able to build a cabinet box like somebody else might. The only thing that I would say is that, going back to number 2, your material selection is going to make a difference in how strong your boxes are going to be. But screws are stronger than nails and glue is stronger than wood. So if you're using screws and wood glue, you'll probably have some strong boxes. Number 4, cabinet doors, drawers, and hardware. Now, there are a lot of videos out there on how to build these, but there are 2 main types. You have insets and you have overlays. Insets are much more difficult to get right. So if you're new to woodworking, I would just stay away from these because they have to be borderline perfect. Otherwise, they're going to be rubbing the face trims and you're going to spend your life constantly readjusting them, or the gaps are going to look off. They're just harder. The overlays are much more forgiving and just easier to do all around. There's a lot of different door panels you can go with, but Shaker is very trendy right now, and they're actually one of the cheaper and easier options to do. So that would be my suggestion. For the drawer boxes, you can go plywood with edge banding, a little bit more labor intensive, but is a cheaper option. I typically prefer just to do solid hardwood for my drawers. It's a nice upgrade. For the drawer bottoms, some people will use a 1/4 inch panel, but I have seen these break over time. So I like just using a 3/4 inch plywood for my bottoms. Now, when it comes to the hardware, you can do soft close for a small upgrade. It's really not that much more expensive. And if we're talking about a whole set of kitchen cabinets, you're looking at maybe doing an extra $100 to stick with the soft close. So that would be my suggestion. Number 5, paint or stain. Now, you should have already at this point decided based on your material selection which one you're doing, but maybe you're just curious as far as, what's the pros and cons to paint or staining. So I'm going to tell you what mine is based on my experience. So when it comes to painting, I find that I spend a little bit more money because material costs are just higher. Painting is also, I find, takes a higher skill level. It's just easier to get paint runs and harder to get that nice factory finish. So when it comes to staining, it's going to be a little bit cheaper material wise. Time wise, I feel like it takes longer. You don't have to spray it. You can brush it or roll it and still get a nice finish. So really just going to come down to the look you want and how confident you are in your abilities. So those are my 5 tips. I hope that they helped and you got some value from this. I'll leave you with this. Just remember that cheap is not great and great is not cheap. Thanks for checking this out, and we'll see you next time.